Let's begin here with a sequence of the stages of a searching line drawing. There's a certain exponential complexity to such a methodology. So, maybe you have a new drawing every 5 minutes for the first 20 minutes of the drawing. And then you start to find some things, and the doubling time increases. So now you're turning the drawing over in 10 minutes, and then in 15 minutes or 20 minutes, because as you start to get more things understood within the drawing, and there's more to see, there's more to deal with, and so you're going through this sort of waves of development, and I think that analogy, of kind of this turnover is a good way to think about this. Always being the drawing. Throughout its work, that as it changes, it's a different drawing at these stages, but it's complete in its own way. The way that this drawing is about your perception and involvement through this time. The drawing is accumulating these different ideas, and I do think that it always is the actual drawing. It's not an exercise. I think that some of the things that we'll do here, there is a sense that by making these drawings, you are exercising your eyes and your hand and your skills. But I think also when you come to these things, you do have to always sort of think of them as, that event, that drawing event, is always the actual thing, and it is the drawing that you're making. And sometimes some days they will be great, and some days they will be less beloved works, depending on how it goes. But it is the actual drawing, and I think you have to put yourself in that mindset to really make things happen. So we're picking up this drawing we picked it up here at minute 50, and now some elements are more well described, and some new parts are partially noted. Maybe at this stage things change pace more between slow and fast. That physical change, physicality of the act makes a difference in the pace of the drawing. The more different parts of space are described, the greater work is required to differentiate things. In this process-oriented approach, as you start to become more particular, or as you make more changes and corrections, it's important not to try to erase the drawing's history. There may be big moves. You may need to remove an overbearing line or lighten something, break up a misfit direction, but don't try to completely remove sections and start from scratch. The integrity of the searching line and of a process drawing, or of observational drawing more generally, is that it is a record of one's action from that place and moment in time. Fully removing that history is counter to that pursuit. And if you are, weaving together this network of lines as, your knowledge, analysis, decision-making build, then completely removing the constructive record will disjoint the work. You'll see here I'm trying to take this section where a number of little things fill up a space that is distant from my point of view, and treat it with a loose, rapid handling, letting that small scale filled area become detailed in a way that fits my understanding of it, which is less than the areas that are better lit, closer, or hold more visual interest. If you're following the eye, and truly getting guided by your experience, you can't be equal. How is the left different from the right, top different from the bottom, near different from far? There are no rules, but there are ideas that you should make decisions about recognizing or subverting. How do you want to construct the perceived space? Is it more particular and understood closest to you and diminishing as you move further away? Or do you look past and over the things at your feet and see most fully in the middle distance, as the case here at this stage? Um, Line acts not just as a description, but also as division and direction. So as I start to fill some of the drawing with line, I'm still thinking about the direction that the plane of the floor goes, or that it needs to go within the drawing, or about using that group of lines to bind together or push back a part of the drawing that 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 I want to visually remain distant. Um, that multiplicity of purpose coincides with the previously mentioned, dual form, the pursuit and development of design form and three-dimensional spatial form. Or are you trying to build line work that pushes something back, brings it forward, or that moves across the surface of the page to isolate something or join it together? The form, flat design or spatial description, arrives before detail, arrives even before recognizable depiction. As as I said, you don't want to unravel your drawing by taking its history away. So what do you have erasers for? You can use your eraser as a drawing tool, as you've seen in these recent minutes of this video. So look at the ways that your erasers can be used to make light lines, or to make breaks in lines, to lighten but not to remove a line, or group of line, or part of a line. Um, to do this, you'll have to be fearless about building a drawing up, and guided again by these ideas of extending line variation, form that precedes depiction, and dualities and multiplicities of purpose and experience.